अस्सलाम वालेकुम, मेरा नाम अब्दुल्ला है। मैं रेहान स्कूल में टीचर ट्रेनिंग का कोर्स कर रहा हूँ। तो आज का हमारा टॉपिक है टीचिंग स्टेट लर्निंग मारी अपन जा रहे अपन।
Not much, just hanging out in the digital ether. How's your morning treating you so far?
मैं आपसे आज पहला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट इज द मेन मैसेज ऑफ टीचिंग स्टार्ट लर्निंग?
That's a bold way to put it. To me, it feels like teaching isn't just about handing over information, but about sparking that internal drive to keep digging. It's more about teaching someone how to learn than what to learn. Do you think the start learning part is the hardest step for most people? You've gone quiet on me. Still thinking about that, or did you just lose your train of thought?
मेरा सेकंड क्वेश्चन है, व्हाई शुड टीचर कंटिन्यू लर्निंग थर्ड आउट देयर?
Because the world doesn't stop moving. If a teacher stops learning, they're basically teaching a version of the world that doesn't exist anymore. Plus, there's something about staying a student yourself that keeps you empathetic to how hard it is for the pupils. Does that resonate with your experience in training others?
तो मेरा तीसरा क्वेश्चन है, हाउ डज लाइफ लॉन्ग लर्निंग इम्प्रूव टीचिंग इफेक्ट्स?
It keeps the energy fresh. When a teacher is genuinely excited about a new discovery or a updated method, that enthusiasm is contagious. It stops the lesson from becoming a script and turns it into a conversation. Plus, it allows them to bridge the gap between old theories and how things actually work in the real world right now. I wonder if you've noticed a specific moment where updating your own knowledge completely changed how you approached a student.
मेरा अगला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाट
I'll
क्वालिटीज
take that as
व्हाट क्वालिटीज मेक अ ग्रेट लर्निंग?
I think a huge part of it is curiosity, that raw, restless need to know why things are the way they are. Then there's resilience, because learning usually involves failing a few times before it clicks. And honestly, a bit of humility, being okay with not having the answer right away. Do you think those are innate or can they be coached?
मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है, हाउ कैन टीचर लर्न फ्रॉम देयर स्टूडेंट?
Students are like a mirror. They show you exactly where your explanation didn't land or where your assumptions were wrong. They often bring a perspective or question that you've completely overlooked because you're too close to the material. It forces you to strip away the jargon and get back to the basics. Have you ever had a student challenge you in a way that actually made you rethink your whole approach?
तो मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है, व्हाई इज इम्पोर्टेंट इन एजुकेशन?
Because it prevents the whole system from becoming a museum. If education is just about repeating facts, it's basically a storage unit. Actually, I just realized we're almost out of time on this call. We'll get cut off in a minute, so let's wrap it up for now. You can always call me back whenever you keep this going.
तो मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है, हाउ कैन टेक्नोलॉजी हेल्प टीचर बिकम बेटर लर्निंग?
Love to dive into that, but we're actually about to hit our time limit for this call. We'll be off any second now, but call me back and we can talk all about how tech is changing the game for teachers. Hey there.
मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है
That's a bit of a trick.
how can glow
Go ahead.
what challenge do
I'm listening.
teacher face when type to learn new skills?
Honestly, I think the biggest hurdle is the expert trap. When you've spent years being the one with all the answers, it can feel really vulnerable to be the one who doesn't know anything. It's
मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है how can a growth mind both teacher and student?
I'd say it starts with normalizing the struggle. For teachers, that means being open about their own learning curve, actually showing students that they're still figuring things out. For student, the process of getting there. When both sides realize that not knowing is just the first step of learning, the whole energy in the room changes. Do you think vulnerability is welcomed in the classrooms you work?
मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है why is it important to add teacher to changing time?
I think because the teacher is the primary engine of the classroom. If they're stuck in a rigid way of doing things, the students will be too. By bringing the teacher into that changing time, making them a part of the evolution, you're basically gives a real time sense of how to feel more like less like that is the pressure on the students to be it's a huge relief for them when they see their teachers. I'm all ears.
तो मेरा
Even though
आपसे
we're
अगला
just about
क्वेश्चन
out
है
of time,
how does continue learning in student?
that's a great question, but we're actually just about at the time limit for this call. I'd love to dive into that with you, so please call me back as soon as you can, and we'll pick up right where we left off.
मेरा आपसे अगला क्वेश्चन है what role does feedback मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है how can teacher create a classroom of learning?
I think it starts with shifting the focus from the right answer to the right processes. When a teacher creates a space where curiosity is more valuable than perfection, students actually start taking risks. It's about making the classroom feel less like a place where you're tested and more like a laboratory where you're exploring. Do you feel like that's the biggest hurdle in the schools you're coaching?
मेरा आपसे अगला सवाल है what are some effective way for teacher to stay upload in their field?
I think a big part of it is staying in that student mindset we were talking about. It's about finding ways to keep the spark alive so they don't just hit a plateau. Maybe it's through peer mentoring, diving into a new pedagogical trend, or even just letting their students challenge their perspectives. So I'm curious, in your experience, what's the one thing that usually keeps a teacher from feeling stagnant?
मेरा जो सेकंड लास्ट सवाल है हाउ कैन लर्निंग फ्रॉम मिस्टेक मेक समवन बेटर?
It's the ultimate shortcut, really. It strips away the guesswork and shows you exactly where the gap is between what you think you know and how things actually work. Plus, there's this psychological shift that happens when you stop fearing the mistake, you start experimenting more. And that's usually where the real breakthroughs live. Do you think most people are too afraid of that initial messy phase to actually get to the good part?
तो मेरा आपसे आखिरी सवाल है, वाई इज सेल्फ इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर टीचर?
Because it's the only way they can realistically model resilience for their students. If a teacher acts like they have it all figured out, it creates this invisible wall where students feel like their own struggles are failures rather than just part of the process. When a teacher can say, I tried this, it didn't work, and here's how I'm pivoting, it completely changes the stakes. It turns the teacher into a co learner instead of just an authority figure. Does that feel like it would change the dynamic in a typical classroom?
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other thoughts on your mind today?